When we talk about peace, I think of peace in two dimensions. First of all, the personal dimension, which has to do with internal peace, that state of mind when you feel at harmony with your own self. And I look at it from the other dimension too, when it has to do with you and your environment. When you get out of your house in the morning and you feel free to go to your job site, come back home and you feel safe, then you say you are also living in a peaceful society. So peace is that which comes from within you, that personal harmony that you have with yourself that gives you a good state of mind, and also that environment that permits you to feel safe and to say, yes, I'm living in a peaceful society. This is exactly what peace means to me. The obstacles to peace, first, when it comes to the personal aspect of peace, which I just talked about, the obstacles has to do with our mindset. When we perceive the things, the triggers that we find in our society every day, the way we perceive them and interpret them decides on whether we choose to be peaceful with ourselves or not. And sometimes we get so worried about a lot of things and we get so bamboozled by a lot of external stimuli that makes us feel like we are really living in a pressure world. But if we really think about these obstacles and identify them, then we can actually truly know that they are obstacles. Sometimes we might not know how much of an obstacle these issues are. But looking at the other aspect of peace, which is that of which surrounds us, we look at it from the aspect of absence of violence. I often talk about non-violence. When we have non-violent, I always like to talk about passive violence. When we have acts of passive violence, you have an environment that is incapable to permit you to have food to eat. That is passive violence. You have a pregnant woman who is unable to have access to health care. That is passive violence. You have young kids who are not able to have education. That is passive violence. And when environment presents all these aspects of passive violence, they now get nurtured to now produce what becomes violent, and human beings react to them now in search for peace, in search for justice, in search for equality, and that is why we have the environmental kinds of violence that can make us feel that, you know, it's an obstacle to the peace that we expect our environment to provide to us. The first aspect of peace, which I talked about, we can overcome this aspect by having a mind that is open to everything and fixed to nothing. Sometimes we get so disturbed because of the kinds of ideas that we have implanted on our mental disk that have shaped the way we look at things, that have shaped the way we react to things. And these are the kinds of obstacles that really make the internal peace difficult to come about. And so if we can have a shift in our mindset and have a mindset that is open to everything and not attached to anything, that is one of the origins of internal peace. And that's how we can overcome this kind of obstacles to peace. And looking at it from the other piece that has to do with our environment, our social environment, economic environment, political environment, we would overcome this obstacle if only we listen. Listening to other people, especially those who do not agree with us, trying to understand how much our action can be of impact to how they feel, and also being able to be kind, be lawful, show kindness to everybody, because it starts from you. When you want your environment to be peaceful, you have to radiate that which comes out of you, which is peaceful. And I think by doing that, we can overcome those environmental factors that makes society very unpeaceful.